So there's been this ongoing discussion about Justin Fields and his future with the Bears. And the Bears are said to be contemplating whether or not the team should keep him for the 2024 season and beyond, or explore drafting Caleb Williams or one of the other top-ranked quarterbacks in the draft. Who will be the new head teddy bear, and not just an average bear, which is what Justin Fields has been, actually below average. Now, Fields has demonstrated, some are calling it major improvement, more on that in a second, despite all of the noise around the Bears that they're going to have a bear grudge, shall we say, on Justin Fields, get rid of him. There are people that say, well, the Bears have won more with Justin Fields late in the year, and so that means he's played well, and so therefore you got to keep him. So let us discuss the question. Justin Fields, his time is up with the Bears. Is this likely or unlikely as we sit here early in 2024 and we project ahead? So the answer to that I'll get to in a second. I've got broom, muscle memory, and diplomatic. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are not going to be a lazy bear. We are not going to be a lazy bear. All right, so to begin this, the arrow is pointing towards likely. The arrow is pointing towards likely that this happens. Now, it is true that Chicago got off to a 2-7 start this year, and that they have, I believe it's 5 out of their last 7 that the Bears have won. So they were 2-7. They've gone 5-2. Now, not all that was with Justin Fields. Not all that was with Fields at quarterback. But here's the thing that people are missing. It's the defense, stupid. The defense has been a top 5 defense in the NFL. Now, Fields, has he played a little bit better? Unfortunately, it's a misnomer to say that Fields has arrived. He has not played well enough to separate him from Temptation Island. The temptation of getting the next big thing, resetting the clock on the rookie contract. Since returning in Week 11, Justin Fields, and the media has told us, the pundits have told us Fields has been much better. Okay, Justin Fields, let's look at the numbers. He's got 8 touchdowns. That's 5 passing, 3 rushing, and 9 turnover plays, 3 interceptions, and 6 fumbles. And that's the best version of Justin Fields. That's better than he had played. His passer rating in these last 6 games is 80.9, which is below the standard. That's not good. The other issue, and even if you were to say, okay, there are signs that Fields kind of gets it for stretches, and that's enough, the Bears are going to have a new coach. Does anyone think that the numbnuts coaching the Bears right now is going to continue? I don't. They'll likely change the front office around, and they bring in a new broom. A new broom sweeps clean. A brand new broom. If you ever used a new broom compared to an old broom, boy, is that new broom good. Just much better. Right? You go down to Lowe's or Home Depot or Ace Hardware, one of those stores, and boom, you're good. But Chicago, they could trade Justin Fields to, say, the Atlanta Falcons or the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Yinzers, or any other host of teams that don't have a quarterback, and get a 3rd-round pick, or maybe even something more than that. And then ride it out with the crying quarterback, Caleb Williams, or the guy from Tobacco Road, Drake May, or the Heisman winner from LSU, Mr. Daniels, any of those guys. And just start fresh. You got the number 1 pick. You can get whoever you want. Buy any product you want. One product, you get any product you want. All right, furthermore, headline from Dallas, coaching carousel spinning round and round. Popular name, for reasons unbeknownst to me, is Dan Quinn. Now, I'm not sure what's going on in your head, but in that little cartoon bubble over my head, when I think of Dan Quinn, I cannot get the stank of him being the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons when they had the forever lead against the Patriots and then watched it all vanish. And Dan Quinn could not come up with the right coaching call to have his team make one extra play to win that game. So now Quinn was asked about all of the hullabaloo involving his name being associated with head coaching jobs. He said it's not something he's worried about. The interview process, he kept using a certain buzzword which somebody gave him, whether it was his agent or PR person, whoever. Compartmentalize, that was the word of the day. And Dan Quinn saying that he is focused on the job at hand. So, Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn says he is not distracted as his name is being floated for NFL coaching gigs near and far. Do you believe, Dan Quinn, that he is not being distracted? So I'm going to nod my head yes. I'm nodding my head yes on this one. And it's not brain surgery. My position on this has evolved over the years. Dan Quinn has been an NFL head coach, as mentioned, not a good one, in Atlanta, but he's interviewed for multiple jobs. At this point, it is a case of muscle memory. Okay, it's muscle memory is what it is. You have to massage the owner. You got to massage the owner, give a little mani-pedi. You got to speak in a word salad. You're trying to sell a dream. It's like selling a timeshare. You're trying to sell a dream is what you're trying to do. Right? It's like, I'm going to be the greatest coach. I'm going to have you in contention for the playoffs every year, and I'm the bee's knees. I'm wonderful. You're selling the dream. That's what you're doing when you interview for a coaching job, that you're the smartest one of them all, and you know more than ever. All right, party shot. Headline from Detroit. Lions coach Dan Campbell, follow-up to a story we talked about in previous episode of the show. Dan Campbell was asked this week about the perception that the NFL is, quote, against the Lions. Now, Campbell immediately snapped. He said, don't do that. Don't do that to the reporter. He was absconding the report. Don't do that. He said, I know, I get it, but don't do that. Don't buy into that. Don't live in that world, man. That'll just pull you down. He went on to say, if it makes you feel any better, the NFL's against every team. All right. Then he brought up he was on the Saints staff a couple years ago when they correctly were called for a penalty against the Rams in a game that the Rams won, NFC Championship game. Anyway, Campbell said, I would tell fans, don't do it. Don't even believe that. We're just getting started. Okay? So, question to the panel, the esteemed panel. How should Lions fans take Dan Campbell and his public plea to Detroit fans over NFL treatment? And just to get over it. It's not that big a deal. They're not against us. So this was Diplomatic Dan, the statesman. In wrestling terms, if you're a fan of professional wrestling, what happened on Saturday night was akin to the Montreal screw job. Look it up. Google it. Well, be careful. We might get some bad stuff that comes up on that. But type in wrestling in Montreal screw job. Otherwise, I'm not liable. So the NFL has the cojones, the chutzpah, as my grandfather would say, to blame the Lions for confusing the referees. Rather than say, hey, the referees, the zebras, they ran off into the Serengeti and they blew it. Now, my position, the individual officiating in the NFL has been terrible. It's been terrible for years. People call up radio shows like this and post on social media and complain about the officiating. But I do believe in this conspiracy. And tell me if you agree with me or not. The industrial complex of big sporting does favor certain teams. And I get the yeah, but crowd. Well, yeah, but the Cowboys, they don't win the Super Bowl. They haven't won the Super Bowl since like VHS tapes were around. And Netscape Navigator and America Online was the internet. I get that. But I can't tell you how many times I watched an NBA game and I see calls go towards the Lakers that don't go against other teams or for other teams. Baseball. I had a guy that was with the Dodgers at the end of his career who had been a big star for the Yankees. He became a friend of mine. And he told me that in the 1990s, playing for the Yankees at Yankee Stadium when George Steinbrenner, the old owner of the Yankees, was still around, the Yankee players, whether this was true or not, they believed any borderline pitch by a Yankee pitcher was going to be called a strike. Anything close was going to be called a strike. Because the Yankees got the benefit of the doubt, in part because of Steinbrenner. But I do believe there are certain teams, and it makes sense. I mean, these teams win. They have a lot of fans, right? They have the good for TV ratings, the fat cat teams who generate the revenue. And it's like my job. And here's how I relate. I work in radio. I do a 4-hour radio show, 5 days a week. I do a podcast on the weekends. Some of my contemporaries, Colin Cowherd, does I believe, a 3-hour show, 5 days a week, does a podcast. And who makes more money for the company? Me, the overnight guy, or Colin Cowherd, who's on during the day? Well, I think we know the answer. So who gets treated a little better? I think we know the answer. And that's not necessarily wrong. Right? That's just the way of the world, right? Life's not fair. Once you get past that life is not fair, and that even with these teams getting the benefit of the doubt most of the time, they don't win all the time. So that does help you out. That helps you sleep. For us, we sleep during the day.